Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Wiggervasio, and today we're going to be covering Chapter 6, Lesson 6.4 on percent equation. Reference pages to this can be found in your textbooks, pages 234 and 235. As a reminder, take down all the notes for full credit in your notebook. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So I have here the key idea. Go ahead and copy down everything you see in the yellow box. Most importantly, make sure you copy down today's equation. This equation is going to be used in today's lesson, so make sure you box that and write down this equation. So the equation is A equals P times W, where A we learned in the last lesson is our part, P is going to be our percent, and W is our whole. So we are going to be using this equation to solve for unknowns of a part, a percent, or a whole instead of our proportion. So let's go ahead and begin. So in our first example we have here, it says here, what number is 24% of 50? So I'm going to go ahead and write down the equation that we're going to be using in this video lesson. A equals P times W, where A represents what again? A represents the part. And I'm only writing this down so you can see, but you don't have to do this for your homework. Where P represents the percent and W represents the whole. So this is from our last lesson. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and plug in what we know. So since we know that the percent is 24, we'll put 24. And since it's associated with 100, you always have to put 100. And then times it by W. W means the whole thing. Do we know of how many? We do. So that's going to be 50. And do we know what you actually got out of 50? No, so we're going to put A. So now this is going to be the equation we're going to be solving. So now we're going to go ahead and solve this by doing our train tracks. Notice that 50 doesn't have a fraction, so I'm going to put a 1 underneath. Now let's go ahead and solve. So 24 times 50, if you don't know, you can do it on the side. 24 times 50 happens to be 1200. So make sure you show your work here for that. And that's going to be over 100 times 1 is 100. So we're going to say 1,200. Oops, let me go ahead and change that really quick. Over 100. And then A equals 1,200 over 100. Now, because you can pair up these zeros, we're going to go ahead and pair them up. Instead of doing the division, top goes in, bottom goes out, I have a total of here 12 over 1. So this 12 over 1 really means 12. So our answer for A is going to be A equals 12. Now what does this 12 mean? This 12 means that you got 12 correct out of how many? Out of 50. So the 12 will be on top, the 50 will be on the bottom. Now this is going to be the percentage of your grade. 12 out of 50 is a 24%. So this is one way you can do it. Now I'm going to show you something really quick. It's the same idea, but except if you don't want to use and do this part, you can actually do it another way. So I'm going to show you another way you can do this. So same thing. A equals P times W, where A is what you don't know, where P is the percent. Now this time, instead of writing 24 over 100, you could also change the percent into a decimal. Because when you see the word of actually means what? Of means to, let me go ahead and highlight this. Of in math means to multiply. So instead of doing 24 over 100, we can just take the percent, change it to a decimal, and multiply it by the W. So our W will be 50. So this is just a shorter way. If you can remember, of means to multiply, and you can just take the percent and multiply it by the number they say. Only for this particular type of problem, when there's a percent and a number. So we can multiply this, and it cuts away one extra step, so our answer will be 12. So same thing. So again, what does of mean in math? To multiply. So that's why I multiply this. But first, make sure you change the percent into a decimal, because you cannot multiply percent without changing it. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and do example 2. In example 2 here I have, it says 9.5 is what percent of 25? So I'm going to underline these key things so you can see. I'm going to put A equals P times W. A is our part. Do we know the part we got? It looks like it's 9.5. Do we know the percent? We don't, so we're going to put P. Do we know the whole amount of how many? Yes, we do, so 25. So it's very important you know what A and P and W stands for. If you don't, go back to the beginning of this video to see what they stand for, and you need to make sure you memorize that, okay? All right, to solve for P, what are we going to do? We're going to get P by itself by dividing by 25. Why? Because the opposite of times is divide, and we want to do the inverse to get P by itself. So we're going to divide both sides by 25. So 9.5 divided by 25, That's going to be how many? Let's see, decimal on top. That's 3 times. That's 75. That's 0. That's going to be 2. Bring down my other 0 since I don't have any more numbers. That's going to be 200, and that's going to be 8. So my answer is 0.38. This 0.38 is not my percent, though, so to change it to a percent, I'm going to move it to the right, as in 6.1 we learned. So that is 38%. So your grade is a 38% for how many questions? For 9.5 out of 25. Okay, so we're going to be using this equation today to solve for unknowns. Very similar to the last lesson, except it's an equation form. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and have you do example number 3. And example number 3, I have here 39 is 52% of what number? So once again, we're going to go ahead and use the formula what? A equals P times W, where A is the part. What's the part that you got? You got a 39. Remember, 39 is a part because it's the word is a part. Now, do you know the percent? Yes, I do. You got a 52%. Doesn't look too good. Oops. And you know, you don't need to have that percent. So remember what I said. If you want to use 52%, you have to put it as 52 over 100. Or what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this 52% into a 0.52. So 52% can be moved over to be 0.52. Okay, so now that eliminates the 100, so I don't need to put that 100 because I'm putting 0.52, just like what I said in my last slide. So we're going to multiply this by W, and then we're going to go ahead and solve for W. So train tracks, this is being multiplied, so opposite of multiply is divide. Divide this side by 0.52, not 52, but 0.52. And if I do it to this side, I do it to the other side. So W is by itself. Top goes in, bottom goes out. When I divide 0.52, or sorry, 39 into 0.52, that's not enough. So actually, before I divide that, I have to move my decimal once, twice. The decimal is hiding at the end, so once, twice. And so this is just a quick long division. If you're still struggling with dividing this, please come see me for help. Now 52 goes into 39. Nope, 52 goes into 3,900. Yes, about how many times? I'm going to say it's about 5 times. So we're going to put here 5. And then 52 times 5 is going to be about how many? Let's see. 52 times 5 is going to be about 260. So I'm going to put here 260. And I'm going to subtract this. And then 9 minus 6 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1, and so forth. And then 52 times 8, I believe. I'm sorry, 52 times, hold on, sorry, 1 second. Oops, I made a mistake. So it's actually going to be, one more time, really quick, 39 divided by, so we're going to say 39, I'm doing my work on the side really quick, divided by 0.52 is actually 75, sorry. This goes in 75 times. So let me erase this. So make sure you do the division part right here correct. So this goes in 7 times. So that's going to be 7 times right here. And then the 52 times 7 is actually going to be 364. There we go. Now that looks better. So go ahead and finish the rest of it. But once you finish the rest of it, you're going to get an answer of 75. What does that 75 mean? That means you got a 75. You got a 75 question test. So 75 would be that part. And so 39 is your A, and 75 would be your whole. And what grade did you get? You ended up getting a 52%. Okay, so again, solving for the unknown, you need to use the following equation right here. Very important you memorize that equation. Okay, and if you can excuse that bell. Okay, so for the next one, I would like for you to go ahead and take out a piece of paper and go ahead and do problems 1 through 6 on your own. Make sure you set up your equation and show your work for full credit. All right. For the next one, example 4, it's talking about a receipt bill for a meal that you went to. So for the first one, we're going to go ahead and solve and find the percent. So let's go ahead and underline the things that we need to find. The percent of sales tax. So it looks like we're trying to find the percent for this question. And for this one, it says find the amount. So we're finding the amount on a tip that's 16%. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the first one. It looks like we are looking for the sales tax. We know the tax looks like it's $1.65, but what percent is that? So we're going to use A, equals P times W for our equation. And where A is going to be the part that you got charged for the tax. So since we're talking about tax, it's right there, $1.65, where P is going to be the whole amount. I'm sorry, where P is going to be the percent that we're trying to figure out, which we don't know. So we're going to put P. And W is going to be the whole amount of the meal, which is $27.50. We don't use $29.15 because that's actually not the meal. That's the meal and the tax. Okay, so to solve for P, to get the percent of tax, we're going to divide both sides by 2750. If we do it to this side, we do it to the other side. This side cancels, and P equals, well, we need to do the work on the side of top goes in, bottom goes out. I'm going to do 1.65 divided by 2750. And well, don't forget, I'll have to move the decimal once, twice. If I move it once, twice there, I have to do it here. So my new decimal is right there. And I'm just going to make this a 5 so it's clear. So my new decimal is there. Since I don't have enough, these will be zeros. And then when I solve this correctly, you should get a total of 0.06. So 0.06. So the 0.06 here is going to be my percent. But since it's not a percent yet, you have to move the decimal 2 to the right. And once you move it 2 to the right, you get a total of 6%. So how much is the tax on the meal? It's 6% sales tax. That's how much they tax you for the food. Now for the next part, we want to know the tip part. So for the tip part, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and solve by using the same equation, A equals P times W, where A this time is going to be the unknown. We don't know what the part of the tip is going to be, but we do know the percent they charge us is how many? 16. So instead of putting 16 over 100, like I said in a previous slide, you can say 0.16. And then we're going to go times by the whole amount. What's the whole meal? It's 27.50, so we're going to put 27.50. And since we don't know how much the tip is, we're going to put 8. So then we're going to go ahead and solve for A by doing, by multiplying these two. So we're going to go 2750 times 0.16. Once you multiply that correctly, and make sure you count your decimals very carefully, you get $4.40. So A equals $4.40. What does that mean? You tip the person $4.40 based upon a 16% tip. Okay, so using the equation today will help you find the unknown of percents of the part and the whole. Finally, if you can do the final on your own question number 7 on the same paper as the other one, that would be great. And if you can also do one more thing, the exit ticket, and any questions you have in today's lesson, please ask me tomorrow in class. Have a great day. Bye.